Hello and welcome back to On the Shelf, and today I want to talk to you guys about Attack on Titan. So I feel like I might be a little bit late to the party to talk about this series, but I very recently, just last night, finished binge reading the whole thing. I didn't read it all in one night obviously, but over the last week I've been reading at least 5 volumes a day of this series. And last night I finished the final 34th volume and I have some thoughts. So I'm going to say that there might be some spoilers in this video, so I'm going to put a little timestamp in the description as to when, certain spoilers might be talked about and when they'll finish. So please go and look in that description and I'll break down the video so you can see which bits might be safe for you to watch and which bits might not be. But yeah, I just want to get straight into things because we have a lot to say today. First and foremost, for those who don't know, Attack on Titan, if you've been living under a rock, is one of the biggest franchises in Japan, particularly in terms of the anime. To me, it's a breakthrough series. It did exactly what Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia have done more recently. It came over to the West and it just exploded. Everyone was obsessed with Attack on Titan. It got more people into anime, more people talking about anime. I have a friend at university who it was one of the first, if not the first, anime I ever showed him. And since then, he's been really into anime. He's watched a ton of different series, but he's always had a firm kind of favourite with Attack on Titan. In fact, he actually finished the anime and then went and read the remainder of the manga before I even did. So, he's what you would call a super fan, I suppose, of the series. And yeah, it just absolutely exploded. I can remember that first season very vividly at university. I don't think I'd seen anything quite like it in a while. It was like the resurgence of steampunk. So the whole backstory is there's these 3 walls that humanity have decided to hide behind because of the never-ending threat of titans. So titans are these huge giant creatures. No one knows where they came from, no one knows why they're there, but they eat people. And of course, the story wouldn't go anywhere if things just remain that way. So the titans break through the wall, they eat a lot of people and kill a lot of people, and our main characters decide to join the Survey Corps, which is an aspect of the army that will go beyond the walls and try to physically fight off the titans. And they try to then reclaim humanity and get their home back, and also discover what the titans are and solve that mystery surrounding their origins. I've had a bit of a weird, rocky kind of start with Attack on Titan, at least in terms of the manga. I was really hugely into the anime when it first came out, and I don't know if any of you guys remember, but between season 1 and season 2 of the anime there was a massive gap. I think there was at least 2 years, maybe even 3 years before the first episode of season 2 aired and the final episode of season 1 ended, and it lost a lot of traction for me at that point because I was, it ended on a cliffhanger, it ended on a mystery, and I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait that long to find out what happened. So maybe this was a ploy that they put in place to try and get more people to read the manga, because I do remember at that time Forbidden Planet was constantly stocking volumes of Attack on Titan. They had just entire shelves of the series, even when other series seemed to be going out of print or being printed less. There was always a vast amount of Attack on Titan merch and books, and I fell into that category. I went and I picked up some volumes of Attack on Titan because I really wanted to know what happened, and I dropped the series. I actually dropped the series twice, I think, and the first time was just because I did not like the artwork. I really didn't like the art style of Attack on Titan in the early volumes. A lot of you probably will agree or disagree, I'm not sure. And I actually disagree with myself now looking back, because the later volumes of Attack on Titan are actually some of the best artwork that I've seen in a long, long time. Some of the big scale battle sequences and the attention to detail is just insane. But definitely those early few volumes, there was some questionable character designs, some questionable artwork, and I think that was one of the main reasons that it took so long for anyone to pick up that series. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the creator of Attack on Titan has openly said that he's not a fantastic artist. And I think he went to a lot of different editors and magazines, and no one would publish his series because they thought the artwork was trash. And in those first few books, it was definitely ropey, but no one can argue that in terms of story, he's definitely unmatched to a certain extent. There's a lot of series out there that have really great stories, but none of them ever had those really fantastic reveals that I think Attack on Titan does. It always kept you guessing, and even when you thought you knew what was going to happen, it definitely flipped things on its head. Definitely in the later volumes, some things drastically change and not always for the better. So yeah, as I said, funnily enough, I dropped the Attack on Titan manga, and it must have been many years before I even bothered picking it up again. I'm pretty sure that Series 3 had ended, Series 4 was announced, so it's got to have been in the last 2 years that I saw so many people talking about it and saying that the anime was one of the best anime ever, that I thought I really should get back into it. And I might have mentioned this in a previous video, but for me, I'm steering a little bit away from anime lately. Although it's what got me into Attack on Titan to begin with, and I didn't really enjoy the artwork initially, you would think that I would go back to the Attack on Titan anime. But when I heard that they were splitting season 4 into 2 parts, I was not waiting, so I went and I picked up the manga again, and I got the first, I want to say, like 19 physical volumes, and I binge read the hell out of them. I was completely hooked, completely obsessed, and yeah, after the point of season 1, there's a huge shift in tone. It becomes a lot more, I want to say, of a kind of like a war story, as opposed to just a let's figure out what these titans are and survive. It became more about a war. There's a lot of politics involved, there's a lot of mystery, there's other nations, and it just really took off for me. I really enjoyed the later half as opposed to the first half. Although the first half was great, there's only so far you could really go with it. There's only so many new types of titans that you could really introduce before it would get stale and boring. And I always kind of thought to myself, every time they went beyond the walls, I'm like, what's the end game here? Is it just that they kill all the titans and that's it, and then they forget where they ever came from? And yeah, the creator did not disappoint me. He really went in for the explanation of where the titans came from, the history behind them, the war between the Eldians and the Marlians. I really hope I'm saying that right. It just, for me, it took on a completely different, it became a completely different entity by the end of it, and I loved that. I loved that part of it. Just as it starts to get stale, it changes things up, you're completely interested and invested again. But what it didn't do completely well for me was Eren's character. I know a lot of you will have thoughts on this, and this is where I'm going to get into spoiler territory, so fair warning, check the description down below if you don't want to hear any spoilers. But with that being said, Eren becomes a huge dick in this series, and for no reason whatsoever. Like, for everything that I've previously said about the series, that I really enjoyed the way that it changes things and the way in which it became more about these two warring nations, that is true. But there's that time skip that we get in the later part of the series where Eren sneaks into Marley and then devastates all the officers and things like that. That was insane. That was really cool. I really loved that bit. I felt myself kind of like cheering as I was reading it, and like messaging my friend to like tell him that I'd just got to that point. I was super hyped on that. I think it was really fun. And when you kind of actually soon realise that that was Eren going against what everyone else wanted, it made sense. I was like, well, that's fair enough. You know, I can see him being a little bit hot-headed. I could see him getting frustrated with waiting to attack Marley and wanting to, you know, put things into action and do something. Fair enough. But when he suddenly decides that the only way to stop all conflict is to commit mass genocide, I had to admit that I was a little bit like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? I think I feel like his character just changed so much so quickly that it had that effect that Game of Thrones had. So if anyone's seen like the end of Game of Thrones, one of the main characters just completely changes their outlook on life and decides that the only way to win is to kill everyone and anything indiscriminately, and Eren just suddenly decides that he just has to kill every single person on the earth except his friends, and that's the only way that they'll get to live. And I didn't think that there was enough preamble, there was enough build up to really explain as to why he does that. And I'm sure you guys will have differing opinions, and someone will tell me why I'm wrong in the comments, and you're all entitled to your own opinion. But there's even a scene in I think in the final chapter where he kind of says to Armin that he didn't know why he did it, but he knew that he had to do it. And it just seemed so thin, like such a poor excuse for doing that. It was almost like the manga creator of Attack on Titan had just sat down and he needed an ending, he needed a resolution, and he just dreamt that up one day and had Eren shift all of his like personality to really mold around that idea, as opposed to foreshadowing in any kind of clever way. What I did enjoy is the carnage that creates. So although the story really led into something that I did not want and I didn't really understand, I enjoyed the hell out of it. Like, we got to see all those cool different types of titans that were from the past, that had all wicked different forms and like just looked totally bizarre. We got that flying bird titan, the one that had a huge scythe at one point, I think. All of that was dope. Eren as the founding titan just looked horrendous, like really creepy, and I really enjoyed that design. And especially all of the bit with the huge trampling, the bit where all of the titans within the walls come out and decide that they're going to go and slowly walk towards Marley, crush everything. Some of the best art in manga, for sure. Some of the best grand scale double page spreads that I've ever seen, and I will really fondly look back on this series for the artwork, funnily enough. So like I said, I dropped this series, I dropped it twice for the artwork. And to actually say that one of my favourite aspects of it was the art by the end just blows my mind. It really shows how much he's developed as a creator, how much the series has really developed and come into its own, and how it should definitely be a staple for anyone who's trying to get into manga and anime. They should 100% be checking out this series. With that being said, so now spoilers are over, I guess. I'm not going to really go into anything in any more detail in terms of the ending, but what I will say is this: I think that Attack on Titan has done what Evangelion did many years ago. It's created a conversation, it's created controversy, it's created wicked costumes that people are going to cosplay for years. It's kind of the modern day Evangelion, because everyone's seen Evangelion pretty much who's an anime fan. Everyone has an opinion on it, whether it's good or bad, and there's a lot left to the imagination in the end of Evangelion. And although Attack on Titan isn't quite that open-ended and it's not quite that convoluted, there's a lot to pick at here, and I still come away thinking about certain parts of the story that I didn't completely understand, or things that I think might need a little bit more explanation. And they're fun things that we as a community can discuss and debate for many years to come. So it's got to be considered a classic, I would say, even if there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily to my taste. So yeah, probably one of my favourite parts of Attack on Titan would have to be the characters. So there's so many fun characters in this series. They all have different reasons for doing things, particular characters that become enemies later on in the series, then become friends later on towards the end. You know, everyone's constantly changing their opinions of each other, and I was constantly changing who my favourite character was, and I really like that about the series. There wasn't a standout main character that I really loved. I will say that perhaps my favourite Titan in Attack on Titan was the Warhammer Titan. I thought that the design of that was really cool. The power that it has to kind of like turn things into into weapons was a really creative and ingenious idea, but it was very underutilized. Like, it was totally underused within that series. I just wanted more from that, and yeah, I really enjoyed that character design. And I think that as a whole, all the different Titans were very unique. The Cart Titan was really weird with its long kind of face. The Beast Titan was obviously really cool with its ability to control other Titans, and there was just so much in there that I really, really enjoyed in a big way. Standout character for me as well, which was surprising because I thought he was always forgettable, was actually Armin. So he starts out as like kind of Eren's just little sidekick best friend who is a bit of a wimp, and by the end of it he's a true leader who makes really important decisions and everyone trusts him and believes in him. And he is probably a better main character by the end than Eren is, I would say. Controversial take perhaps, but I really enjoyed his character. I obviously really liked some of the enemy characters, and particularly in the time skip, I liked the children that are involved in the war as well. I thought that they gave a new and different perspective because all our main characters have grown up and they're all accustomed to war, and these children provide a fresh new set of eyes to the conflict that's going on. As a whole, I would 100% recommend Attack on Titan to everyone, to anyone. I think if you're a fan of manga, you must read this series. It has something that everyone will enjoy, and by the end of it, it was one of the best kind of war fantasy epics that I've ever read. It's difficult to keep sort of talking about it without mentioning the ending, but yeah, the ending left some things to be desired, but I wasn't completely disappointed. I didn't come away feeling, bitter about anything. I think that if you go along for the ride, there is something that everyone can enjoy in Attack on Titan. And as I said before, the idea that the artwork is perhaps my favourite part of the series completely baffles me. If you just started this series and you were like me and you're thinking this artwork is weird, it's janky, it's unrefined, that is true. By the end, it becomes charming, it becomes outstanding, detailed, epic on a completely grand scale, and some of the best artwork that there is in manga. I would say it even rivals Miura in terms of some of the double page spreads. Wow, I'm gonna get some hate for that. By the end though, insane artwork, really loved it, and I would love to see an Attack on Titan art book in the future. I really hope that we get that, and it's not something that I ever previously wanted in my collection, and now I would absolutely love that. So if Kodansha's listening, if that exists, please someone let me know, or publish it, please. I think we as fans would really enjoy that. I'm kind of at the point now where this series has left me a little bit empty because I'm looking for that new thing to start, and I really can't think of anything else I want to do other than reread Attack on Titan. So if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what else will. Let me know down below, did you enjoy Attack on Titan? Please don't spoil anything for anyone in the comments, but just vaguely let me know, did you enjoy it? Did you think that it ended the way you thought it was going to end? And are you going to be watching the final season of the anime? Please let me know. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all your continued support. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. So with that being said, I hope you have a really great day and stay awesome. Peace.